My name is Andy Mineo. I'm 25 years old. I live in New York City, and I make hip-hop music for a living. One Christmas, my brother bought me a hip-hop CD, and it was my first one. And so, I kind of fell in love with it. We would rap the lyrics of other people's stuff. We would try writing our own lyrics, and that's kind of when we started fooling around with the idea of, being rappers. As a kid growing up without a father around, I was filled with a lot of aggression, a lot of anger, and so I would act out a lot in school and, put kids in trash cans and be the bully. And I think I watched way too much World Wrestling Federation too. And ultimately, it resulted in me getting kicked out of school. I was a loud, foul-mouthed kid that was over-aggressive. So for 2 years, in 6th and 7th grade, I wasn't in the regular public school system. I was going through these behavior programs. That summer, actually, between 7th and 8th grade, my sister was going to a camp, a Christian camp, where she was going to work as a counselor, and she invited me to go along with her. So that summer, I remember sitting on a dockside with a guy. His name was Josh, and he began to share the gospel with me, and actually, for the first time, press, so do you believe? Do you want to turn from your sin and trust in Jesus? Do you started asking me the tough questions, and I began to understand as he was sharing with me about this Jesus who lived a life that I couldn't ever live, which was one that was free of sin, and he went to a cross to die, for sin that wasn't even his. And so I cried out to God, and I knew when I came home that he had changed me. Like the next day, woke up and had affections for God that were never there before. I had love in my heart for people that I had hated my whole life. I came back to Syracuse, and they wanted to send me back to these behavior modification schools, but I told my mom, I don't want to go back to these schools. I want to go to regular public school. Jesus changed me. And so my mother fought tooth and nail with the public school systems to bring me back into the public school. So we went back, and they gave me a 30-day trial. They were like, if your son acts out or, acts crazy, whatever the case is, we're going to take him out and put him right back in these behavior modification, juvenile detention kind of schools. And by the end of that 30 days, they'd come to my mother and said, this kid is like a role model student. We don't understand why he was ever in these programs. He's a leader. They were like, who is this, right? And so it was evident that God was doing something in me. But I was really struggling to grow. If I'm honest, I started to engage in sin again. I started to, start dating around, sleeping around with girls. I really began to love my sin more than Jesus. And that was the tension where I felt like I was in the middle. I knew that God had changed me and he wanted to continue to work in me, but I also loved my sin, right? And I was torn between the two. I went to college in New York City, and that's when I found a group of brothers to begin to walk with me, right? I began to find mentors. I began to find people that helped me grow in my relationship with God. I met a friend by the name of Alex Medina who was in college with me. And one day after piano class, he came and he gave me a CD. And he was like, hey man, I heard you on the piano making beats. And it was a Christian hip hop CD. And I was like, get out of here, I'm a Christian and I like rap too, right? And he was like, yo, check this out. He's like, let's stay connected and everything. So that was a really amazing turning point for me, was when I found this group of people. Since then, I've just been growing in my craft and the gifts that God's given me in music and in my relationship with him, and they've kind of merged into this unique sound, this hip hop that I've been making, which is, it's essentially me just sharing my life, sharing my failures, my struggles, my successes, my joy that I have in God. And I hope what I can do through the music that I'm making now is point people also to, this hope that I've found. My name is Andy Mineo, and I've been ransomed.